Hi, I'm Jim Gordon.
And I'm Lita Leapins.
And welcome to another edition of Our City Tonight.
We're standing in Yaletown on a wintry day. It's to expected. It's raining a little bit, but no snow.
That's right, but we're going to head inside soon, so it's all good. Lita, where are we going first?
We are going to OEB, that is right behind us, and to try some of their amazing brunch meals.
That's great, but before we go, this is the only time you're ever going to be able to do this line in the show, because you know how much it annoys the hell out of me.
Okay, let's do this.
Oh, you're never going to hear that line again, ever.
Here we are inside OEB, and we're going to find out what that name means in a minute as well. But I am joined by owner Rob and head chef Chris with one of their signature dishes in front of me. That smells so wonderful. I know why this one flies off the shelves for sure. Chris, can you tell us what is the origin of this great dish in front of me?
Yeah, so this is our original OG dish created by Chef Morrow back in 2009. So we got our beautiful duck fat fried potatoes. We have a European-style bacon lardons, some brown butter hollandaise, and 2 poached hen eggs. And you also have beautiful cheese curds from Quebec.
Okay, can't wait to dig into that. Rob, there is some charitable aspects to this dish as well. Can you tell us why this is so popular, not just on the table, but people coming in droves?
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. So along with being our original poutine back in 2009, part of our philosophy is to fill the soul. And we realized that we wanted to support some local, and all the proceeds of some shirts that we're selling right here go to Mealshare. So all of the profits for that go right directly to Mealshare to feed hungry kids.
That's fantastic. I like our little calendar boys here. That's fantastic. Okay, and you're going to tell us about what OEB stands for.
Yeah, absolutely. So OEB Breakfast Company was born in Calgary, and part of the name really means a lot of who we are. So it's outstanding people, embracing evolution, and bold food integrity.
Well, we are going to look at some of your other dishes a little bit later on in the show. But fantastic food all around. We've eaten here several times, and you guys are doing a great job. You've been here for over a year now?
Yeah, since May 2019.
And doing really well. So congratulations, and we can't wait to see some of the other dishes.
There you go.
All right, take care.
I have a book, I have a memoir, and I want people to know about it.
It's a coming-of-age rock and roll story.
She is part of the most successful female rock band of all time. She also has a great new book out called All I Ever Wanted, a rock and roll memoir. I'm glad we're doing Skype in the studio here because it gives us a chance to talk with people like I'm about to talk to for you, our viewers. I want to welcome Kathy Valentine, one of the members, as I said, of a very successful group, the Go-Go's. She is calling us from Austin. Kathy, welcome to Our City Tonight.
Hey, nice to be here on Skype.
It's great to have you on the show. Boy, there's so much to unpack. We're going to talk about your book in a few seconds. As I said, great new book. Take us back to the very beginning with the group. And when we've had people, musical icons like we're doing with you, where we almost want to set the stage for, say, some of our younger viewers, where you go, what you guys accomplished was unprecedented back in its day. Talk about the Go-Go's. You went from playing small clubs to stadiums like in a year. That must have been quite overwhelming for a bunch of young women in their early 20s.
It was an amazing thing, an amazing adventure. And for me, the funny thing is people always think, oh, you must have known you were successful when you had a #1 record and whatnot. And I always say the funny thing is that I felt successful as soon as I found this band, because I had set out from the minute I picked up a guitar at the age of 15 to find girls my age that wanted to do the same thing, that wanted to be in a band. And when I met the Go-Go's, they were we were all on the same page. We all wanted the same thing. We had the same passion, the same motivation. We were playing to clubs that people loved us. We had our rent paid. We didn't have to work a day job. So to me, I was successful from the moment I joined the band, and everything after that was just an amazing kind of pile-on of blessings. So yeah, it was quite an extraordinary time of my life.
And you mentioned something, and I, as did I, about just the influence on young female musicians, writers, artists coming up after you. Talk a bit about what inspired you, because you're also a primary songwriter for the group, but who was that you saw when you were younger that you went, wow, I like that, I might want to do that?
Well, it was funny because all the bands I loved were male. So I had started playing guitar, but it didn't occur to me that I could be in a band too. There wasn't a lot of visibility. And luckily for me, my mom is English, and she took me to England. It was 1973, Top of the Pops, a big music show came on. I was at my grandmother's house, and I saw Suzi Quatro. And Suzi Quatro changed my life. I don't know how many people can say they had their lives changed at their grandmother's house, but that happened for me. You know, along with the Runaways, Joan Jett, countless women, girls, teenagers in England, Australia, Europe. Suzi Quatro was the probably single most biggest influence to give us the idea that we could be in a band too.
Yeah, Suzi Quatro is such an extraordinary musician. I'm embarrassed to say, though, my first exposure to her was, I think, appearances she did on Happy Days back in the mid-'70s, playing, I think, Leather Tuscadero was her character, I think. But let's talk a bit about your new book. How challenging was this to write? Because I've seen some interviews with you where you've talked about the fine line you walk between. You want to get your own stuff out and be truthful and honest, but you got to remember your bandmates as well.
Yes, I was very aware that I was telling my story. I wasn't writing the Go-Go's history, but being in the Go-Go's was part of my story, as well as before the journey getting to that point and after losing it all, which was a devastating loss. And a lot of my readers have told me it's the before and the after that they resonate the most with, because that's a very human story that I think a lot of people can relate to. And it was one of the hardest things I've ever done, but I'm also extremely proud. You know, I mean, writing a book is a big deal, and it was a lot different than writing a song, but I did it. I'm really proud. I did the best I could do, and I made sure to tell my story, not anyone else's. You know, it wasn't a spill all or tell the dirt or, you know, expose. It was a coming of age. It is a coming of age story.
We should also say too, Kathy, you've kind of included a soundtrack connection too, and a kind of a sister to the book.
Yes, I thought, what can I do that other writers can't do? You know, not every songwriter can write a book. Not every book writer can write a song. I thought, I can do both. Why not do both? Why not intersect the idea of storytelling with prose and songs? And I had a blast doing it. It was one of the most creative, fun, musical things I've ever done in my career as a musician, and I hope to do more of that. My next book, I would like to be a collection of literary short stories with a soundtrack, because not everyone can do that.
That's great to hear, and of course you guys will be back on tour as a band, fingers crossed, maybe next summer if things all go well, and we want to wish you continued success. This is a wonderful book. You're a great musician, and I will say, as a young teenage DJ, you made my job easy in a roller rink with the music you guys put out as a band, so I owe you a belated thanks for that.
Well, thank you, and I'm so proud that our music has stood up over decades, and we have fans that are young kids and teenagers and millennials and Gen Zers, and it's just kind of neat to see that the Go-Go's music has transcended our time in the spotlight.
It certainly has, Kathy, and I want to thank you for taking time to talk with us. It's Kathy Valentine. Her new book is called All I Ever Wanted, a rock and roll memoir. I also want to recommend to check out the documentary from last year, the Go-Go's documentary, a really solid documentary that you really want to see. And turn your kids on to their music if they haven't heard it yet. Kathy, continued success. Thank you for joining us here on Our City Tonight.
Thank you for having me.
This is not the end.
We're back at OEB, and this time we've allowed Jim to join us, and we have Chef Chris back with some of his amazing signature dishes.
Yeah, this looks delicious, torturous, because we got this partition between us, which we need to have. Rob is not in this segment. He'll be joining us a little later in the show if you're watching at home and happen to be Rob's family. So anyway, there's so much to talk about here. Chris, let's start with these dishes and we'll just work our way around them.
Yeah, I'll work our way around. So first one, we're going to start with the short rib poutine. So basically it's a take on our Philly cheesesteak sandwich. So we got beautiful Alberta beef, duck fat fried potatoes, Quebec cheese curds, brown butter hollandaise, 2 poached and eggs, and some beautiful local microgreens from Chris at Food on the Go on Port Moody.
Very nice, okay.
And then next one we have our beautiful duck and pierogies. So it's a bit of a take of a classic. So we have our hand-pitched pierogies, European double smoked bacon, hand-pulled duck confit, and a beautiful sunny duck egg on top, and some raspberry vinaigrette on the side. Or around it. I should say.
Looks beautiful.
This is within reach here.
Yeah.
That's
this one. This one's
for that
one of my
actually.
favorites for sure. It's our version of our croque madame. So inside of it we have beautiful rosemary ham, cheddar cheese. Then you have 2 beautiful pieces of sourdough bread, and then sunny side up egg, manchego cheese on top. And then you have beautiful sliced truffles, and again, our awesome brown butter hollandaise.
We have to comment, just beautiful presentation. These look like pieces of art, really.
Yeah, brunch for me is it's a thing of its own, and we try to elevate the brunch dishes, right? So try to take a classic and kind of tweak it around. That's what kind of Chef Mario's philosophy. So as you can see, it's all within the details, and it's part of what we are, right?
Mm-hmm. And the last
one of my favorites as well. It's our beautiful lox and bagel. So we got an amazing sourdough organic bagel, Wolf Head Smokers, smoked salmon from New Brunswick, herb cream cheese, pickled red onions, microgreens that are local, a little bit of extra virgin olive oil just for a little bit of shine, and then duck fat fried potatoes.
Now, I know that Rob was telling us, the owner, that he hires chefs particularly so they can bring a lot of creative flair as well as a knowledge of the local ingredients.
Yeah, I mean, I work with chef and owner Mauro a lot. We kind of collaborate on what we want to do depending on what our market is. So, Vancouver, a lot of fresh seafoods. We got hog and scallops and double smoked bacon poutine on our menu. We have a chunky lobster and shrimp crepe and poutine, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of local delicacy. We also have an ahi tuna burger. So there's a lot of fresh options that guests can try by all means.
Wow.
It's looking very good, and I think the audience knows what we're going to be doing as soon as the camera stops rolling. Hey, that looks great, Chef. We'll dig into that. We will come back to OEB one more time. Rob will join us again. We're going to talk a little cocktails, I think, Lita, something you've had your eye on, and we'll also talk about some of the safety protocols that they have put in place. That's all coming up later in the show. Well, he has been part of the media landscape in this city for decades, does a lot of different things, TV, radio, print, over the last 10 years, just celebrating 10 years. Our good friend Joe Leary, beer show, just here for the beer.
Yes.
10 years, congratulations. AM 1040 on TSN is where you can hear the show. 10 years, that's a long time.
It was October 10th, 2010, and there were at that point 53 breweries in British Columbia.
Yeah.
10 years later, there's over 204. And I say that because there's more licenses being granted as we speak.
Yeah.
So it's grown exponentially, and we happen to be, I say this with all modesty, I wish I could take credit for it. We happen to be right place, right time, right idea.
Yeah. Talk about the scene, though, other than expansion of craft beer. Are more and more people obviously going that way? Like you would like to tease me sometimes because I'm a lager drinker and everything, but are more and more people improving their palate?
Well, I mean, let's say, for example, you don't take to this craft beer, or some people call it flavored beer.
Yeah.
Let's say you're a Bud Light guy, or let's say you're a Coors Light zipper. There are beers in the craft family that resemble those styles of beer. So beer is a consumable beverage by everyone, and every brewer that's worth their salt knows that they want to get as much of the market as they can. So if all you're going to do is Belgian-style beers, that's fine. But if you branch out a little broader, you're able to get more people into your tasting room, and that's the growth is unbelievable, phenomenal.
Can you talk a bit about how everybody's adapting? I mean, one of the common threads in our show since March has been how people are pivoting How has that affected your show? How is it affecting the people? Because you're an on-location show like us.
Yeah, it definitely had an effect on us for the initial quarantine period, and still, as you know, as we talk today, the industry is not back to where it was. It's a long way from where it was. So we've had to adapt ourselves as well. But the good news is that the small breweries that we were so concerned about that would probably be casualties of the pandemic, they've actually benefited from it because it's encouraged more people to stay local, to shop local, to support small business. And not to mention the fact that governments, when they want to, they can act rather quickly to allow things that normally would take a lot of years of red tape. They've been able to say, okay, you guys want to deliver beer? Go for it. You want to do beer sales to go, cocktails to go? Go for it. But it's a matter of survival. So fortunately, a lot of the small brewers that I was so worried about have fared quite well. Again, no one wants the pandemic, don't get me wrong, but it hasn't necessarily been a curse completely for that industry.
We've been in media junkets, and we all have other jobs too that require us to travel through media. You've certainly done your show all over the planet. Remember how big your eyes were when we were in Dublin and Ireland. Are we up in par with some of the better known places?
Yeah, we are. Well, basically, the epicenter, the mecca of craft beer is Portland, Oregon.
Yeah.
And virtually anything north of that or anything south of that, like the West Coast, is beer country. We've had Portland brewers, and these are the grandfathers, if you will, of the industry. They've come to Vancouver and they've said, you guys are on point.
Yeah.
So that's, it's like if a BC wine gets praised in Italy, you take great credit and great pride in that. And that's, I think, where we are in terms of the beer community.
Let's talk briefly in the few seconds we have left about the show. As I said, 10 years. You and I do a lot of independent stuff. That's a milestone. That's an accomplishment. What can people hear when they check out your show, and give us the times?
Well, basically, the show airs Saturdays and Sundays bi-weekly on TSN 1040. The time's generally around 3 o'clock on Saturday, about 9 o'clock on Sunday. It tends to vary because it's a sports radio station, so sports does take precedence. What they will hear is they will hear the beer community. We have now sponsorships with the BC Ale Trail, the BC Craft Brewers Guild, and places like that. So we try and focus on the new and up-and-comers, whether it be on the island, whether it be on the Lower Mainland, and we have some institutional favorites as well. But basically, if you want to know about beer and the stories behind the beers and the people that make them, just here for the Beer Radio.
Yeah, I like the fact you really spotlight the local thing. That's really important, something we try to do too. Hey, it's Joe Leary, a guy who's been in the media for many, many decades, and I think my oldest friend.
Yes.
Gave me my first DJ job way back in the day. We'll have all Joe's information, including stuff on his show, website where you can find Joe. He's very active on social media. We'll have all that in the closing credits. Thanks to Tuto, by the way, for helping us out with this great location. Well, we hope you're enjoying the show, taking a little break as we always do, Lita, here in Yaletown on a rainy afternoon, but that's expected in the middle of winter. Where can people see past episodes of our show?
They can see past episodes on our YouTube channel, but we also encourage you to contact us and send your comments on our Instagram at Our City Tonight, Twitter, as well as Facebook.
That's right. Now, a rainy afternoon, and you want to thank, we got a lot of good sponsors we work with, but you want to thank one in particular.
In particular, thanks to Helly Hansen for our outdoor wear that keeps us nice and cozy. I've got my great coat, my great zip sweater, as well as these fabulous boots. So thanks, Helly Hansen.
I'm wearing a nice jacket from Helly Hansen. Thanks, guys, and let's get back to Our City Tonight. What you're listening to right now is a new song called Hold On For Love. It is written and performed by Vancouver's own Tammy Weiss. Tammy Weiss joins us now here on Our City Tonight. And this is the first time for our show. We have someone on the show from Portugal via Skype. Tammy, it's great to see you, my dear friend, all the way from Portugal. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you? Great to see you.
You too, even if it's through Skype. Hey, let's jump right in. We were listening to the single, Hold On For Love. You're in Portugal recording your new album. Tell us about the album, why you chose to record it in Portugal, and this song that we were just listening to, written during this pandemic time.
So yes, I'm writing an album on a wonderful Portuguese poet called Fernando Pessoa. So I was finishing that album when the pandemic hit. So I am in the Portuguese countryside, and what I did is I wrote a song in isolation, getting 3 different countries together, Canada, England, and Portugal to finish this song. We did a wonderful video and just to talk about what everybody was going through at the time. So while I was waiting for the album to be finished, we wrote this.
Very nice. And we should say the new album is supported and sponsored by the Canadian Council. There's a good Canadian tie-in with this album, as you mentioned. Tell us about working with a couple of well-known Canadian musicians.
Yes, well, we've got Randy and Tal Bachman, my producer Rui Velosa, who's a wonderful musician in Portugal. We went to Canada and finished it with Randy and Tal. It was supported by the Canadian government because there's over 500,000 Portuguese in Canada. So there's a really lovely tie there. So it was great for us to be able to go and hang out with Randy and Tal, and they're guesting on it. It's wonderful.
One of the things I've always admired about your career is that you can certainly belt out a standard with the best of them, but you also, since the time I first met you in the mid-90s, you also write a lot of your own stuff, and I know there's a family connection and inspiration with that.
Well, you know, I'm at least fifth-generation musician, but my mom was a country singer and she wrote songs as well. So I think it probably comes from there and stems from living in the countryside and the prairies and certainly having various inspiration there. So I hope that I can certainly make a difference and inspire some people in terms of my writing.
You know, and I'm thinking back when we were looking at your photos and everything that it's hard to believe 20 years ago last year, I wrote a cover story on you and some other very talented female jazz singers, Karen Plato, Dee Daniels, Stevie Valance, a bunch of other ones. And it was on the cover, and we're looking at the cover right there from Vancouver Lifestyle magazine, which is no longer around either. But boy, I tell you, time flies. That was a great shoot we did at the Sutton Place that day 20 years ago. Back when there were a lot of clubs in Vancouver where people like you could play. Sadly, there's not that many left, but I know that you've made a good career in London playing in the UK because you moved there around 2007, 2008, yeah?
Yeah, yes, no, definitely. There's still some great opportunities. You know, Ronnie Scott's is still going strong. And, you know, there's various other things. And I think, you know, things are really going to come back. They are, you know, we have to believe that the music industry is going to, there's many ways that you can prosper in these times. So, you know, we just have to keep the faith and be strong.
Good words. And we'll go out on this, Tammy. People can find your new single, Hold On For Love, where?
It's on all the platforms, so Spotify, okay. iTunes. We have a wonderful video as well on YouTube and TammyWise.com as well.
Excellent. Good to hear, Tam. Okay, listen, we'll look for the album this year in 2021. Good to see you again. Be safe, and we'll look forward to seeing you in person soon.
Oh, me too. Be safe, everybody. Be well.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Well, we're back here to wrap up the show where we began the show at OEB, and we are joined now by Jessica, who is one of the supervisors here at the restaurant, and some interesting things to taste.
Although Jim's already been tasting them.
Tiny bit, yes. Anyway, Rob, we'll start with you. Let's start with this delicious meal, which is way too close for me not to be trying.
Absolutely. So, Jim, this is our French toast trifle. It's made with our organic brioche bread, fresh berries, Sicilian pistachios, and pavlovas finished on top with icing sugar.
Now, no brunch is complete without some fabulous drinks. Jessica, I'm going to go over to you. What do we have in front of us for sipping?
All right, so on our left here, we have our breakfast beer mimosa. We've got some vodka and Grand Marnier in there, topped off with some organic orange shoots, as Jim looks like he's stealing that from us again here.
No one else is touching it, actually. Very observant.
And then we top that off with a float of our house lager, which we get from our wonderful partners over at Powell Brewing.
Which is local. Good to
exactly,
hear. Good,
yeah.
That's fantastic. Okay. And this is so fascinating. Well, I love mimosas, so I'll have to fight Jim off for the mimosas, and of course our cameraman too. But you have an interesting bubbly to add to your.
Yeah, absolutely. So all of our wines and bubblies by the glass are BC based and local. So we made a special partnership with the Hatch Brewery with Jason up at the Hatch in Kelowna, and we use his Gobsmacked Frizzante for all of our mimosa flights. and it is darn fantastic.
And I love the little story with the bottle there of the picture. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So funny story, Jason was looking for a label for the Hatched Gobsmacked, and he went to his kids and said, hey, I need you to make a label for me. They took out their crayons and their pencils and drew one up and said, here you go. And he said, that's it.
Awesome. It is really awesome.
One of the things we were doing all last year in 2020, and we will continue to do now into this new year, is talking about safety. Both you guys are here on a daily basis. Jessica, we'll start with you. People can probably see that we have a partition here between us. Talk you first, Jessica, about some of the safety precautions for people that may want to know everything you're doing to keep them safe while they're enjoying your food.
Right, of course. So when everybody enters the restaurant, any guests, we do take down their contact information as a contact tracing purpose, so that if anything happens, we can contact them or make sure that they're taken care of. As well, we are offering hand sanitizer to all of our guests as soon as they come in as well. Even if they're at the table and they need something, just to give their hands a quick wipe and just be safe.
Yeah, Rob, of course, we were mentioning the partitions. You've got them everywhere here, eh?
Yeah, absolutely. So partitions, table spacing throughout the restaurant, masks on the way whenever you're not sat at the table. Even so much as we do health checks with all of our team members when they come in every day. And for those that aren't comfortable coming into the restaurant, we do curbside contactless pickup and delivery through our website.
Well, it's definitely worth it to go pick this up. I would enjoy this at home too.
Yeah, no, and you guys do curbside, as you said. So, okay, listen, we really have been happy to be here today and enjoyed all the food. Come check them out in Yaletown. And you guys have other stores around
Absolutely,
Western Canada?
Western Canada for sure, but we're opening our second in Brentwood in early spring 2021. So,
ooh, lucky Brentwood.
Yeah, very nice. Okay, thanks very much, guys. We'll have all their information, website, and all that stuff in the closing credits of our show as per usual. I'm Jim Gordon.
And I'm Lita Leapins.
We'll see you on the next edition of Our City Tonight.
Outdoor wear for Jim and Lita provided by Helly Hansen, alive since 1877.
Youngblood Mineral Cosmetics provided by Soluzione Spa Products.